Hi, this is Dr. Ben Morrill. Welcome to episode 73 of Reptile Genetics Weekly. We have told you many times that we're going to have a big announcement with a list of new tests, and we finally get to give that to you today. It's taken a while, but we've wanted to kind of go the extra mile and do what some of the people in the Canadian group and the Eastern Michigan group put in the extra work to find the causal mutations in genes that we know are color and pattern genes. And so we're very excited to have a bunch available that are at that level, the level where we can publish. And so we might be doing some of that over this next little bit, have some of these things go to publication. That'd be kind of fun. We haven't pursued that yet, but we might start doing that. So anyway, we got a whole bunch of them to show. I think it's 10 new tests. A lot of them in the spider complex, actually most of them in the spider complex, but yeah, fun stuff we've been working on for a long time, and it's all coming together finally. So, and we'll have some more new ones over the next 2 to 4 weeks. There will be some others too. So I'm very excited about that. And as for sample updates, fast tests are going out pretty much every day, and sex determination for pythons and ball pythons and colubrids are going out usually twice a week. So the turnaround is 3 to 5 business days on those still. And the fast tests, it's just 1 to 2 business days. The panel tests, they haven't sent the next batch from Texas. My guess is I probably will next week. And so it would be probably about a week and a half by the time we get the next round of panel results. And so I definitely will know next week if they're already here or if they're about to get here, and I'll be able to give you specifics, but it won't be this week or early next week, that's for sure. But we'll start that next run here pretty soon. But yeah, that's what I have for updates. Kayla, how are you doing?
Hey, Ben, I'm doing great. I am so pumped about all these new tests coming out. And so we can finally share what we've been working on. So let's hop right in. We've got the Cypress, Fire, GHI, as we hinted last week. Well, we didn't hint, we just said. And then Chocolate, Wookie, Bongo, Champagne, Spider, Woma, and Spot Nose. How many of those are in the spider complex?
All but
and
two.
Are there all but 2?
Yeah, so Fire and GHI aren't, but with Fire, I would also say any of you that have vanilla or disco animals, whether they're homozygous or het, so if it's a disco or a super disco, either way, vanilla or super vanilla, since we are very close to having those tests, we don't necessarily need them to only be the homozygous ones. But we're very close on those, and we just need more vanilla and disco sheds to kind of finish off and get those validated, make sure that the tests are working properly. And then also, if you have other from that, kind of Fire, black-eyed leucistic, that segment of the black-eyed leucistics, the one that are all related to Fire, allelic with Fire, definitely send those in as well. But the other 2 we're close with in that complex are vanilla and disco.
Rock on. Yeah, if you have those, send them in. And also so these guys are actually already up on Morph Market, and they're coming soon to Clutch. But another thing is that these tests now are, like, for single mutations, all of them are $50 or less. So no longer being listed at $65. So we're, hearing you guys out and making sure that we can bring down our prices as we go. So definitely working more toward that. And yeah.
And honestly, that's in thanks to all of you for using our testing. As we've said many times, as the volume goes up, that makes it so we can bring prices down. So even though we do see and feel some of the inflation that the rest of the business world is going through, we see some of that too. We're paying a little more for things, but because the volume's going up, people using the testing, it's making it so that we can bring our prices down, and we're going to do our best to get a few more tests online and see if we can, if we potentially, the more tests we have, the more people are ordering tests, then that volume goes up, and hopefully we can maybe even bring prices down some more, but we'll see. But we're definitely happy to have them at $50 or less now. And then of course we have discounts available if you're doing multiple tests on one animal.
Yep.
A really good way to do that through Clutch or Morph Market. They have their different types of a la carte style. So you have the bundles and clutch or build your own in Morph Market. But like, for example, with the spider, we don't have a spider complex panel, because there's like 8 or 9 in there. That's quite a bit. And then 1 or 2 more, Hidden Gene Woma and Blackhead, we'll hopefully have here before too long too. But that's, kind of a little on the big side to have as a mini panel if it's like 10 or 11. But using these, bundles or build your own, if you think there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different, spider complex animals that or morphs that it could be, and then you can, pick the 3, just run 3 on them or run 5 or whatever. You can set it up however you want, or if you think it might be, this or that, or it's also a posset clown, like that's completely customizable for you, what you want to do. So if you're doing multiple tests on 1 animal or 2 or 3 animals, you'll get that discount per test on that, that single animal type of a test. But then also we have the bulk discount if you're doing a single test on many animals, or a build your own or a bundle on many animals, then you'll get an additional discount. And it really comes out to where if you're doing multiple animals and multiple tests per animal, you just email Sean, and a lot of the time you're going to get some of those tests down, close to $20 a test. So it really cuts a lot of the cost down. If we know we're running so many for one person and it's multiple tests per animal, that really helps us to be able to get the cost down also, which is what we want to do for you all.
Definitely. And so we, moving right along from business stuff, we do have the Dallas show coming up this weekend. And I think, I think one of our friends is going to be there, like our buddy, I think BC's Balls is going to be at that show. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have been prepping all week for it. So it'll be our biggest setup we've ever done as far as number of animals and number of species. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Rock on. Also, he's here with us today on the show. So, yeah. What are you bringing? Anything cool to the Dallas show?
We'll have some pyros, some really cool ones. I've got a couple of aberrant Applegate specials that popped out that are really neat that we're going to be bringing. We'll have 40-something hognose across toffee belly sable. Several sunburst Mai-Tai type project animals, some actual sunbursts in Arctic, a couple of regular sunbursts, and then we're moving some adult ball pythons this year. It's stuff that have been good breeders for us. We've moved past where we need those. So I'll have, it started out as 30, but 5 have sold in the last week. So of right now, we're at 25 adult females that'll be there with us that have been really good breeders for us. And most of them are visual recessive, a few hets, a couple of double hets, so it'd be nice stuff, clown, DG, pied, hypo, some really nice stuff. So, the Texas show's always been good to us, so we're hoping this one will be good as well. We missed the Arlington location, but it's a different dynamic here, but we're definitely looking forward to it.
Rock on. Well, cool. Yeah, if you're looking for some good breeder females and also some or hoggies, go check out Brian at the Dallas show this weekend. And just so y'all know, we did get a little notice from EH Exotics that the Dallas Market Hall does not charge for parking, and it's been confirmed with NARBC. So just wanted to let y'all know about that, so you don't have to pay too much for parking. You're already paying to travel and do everything else. So just wanted to let y'all know.
Yep, and then Sean will be there, and we have a booth. And so we would love, like, if you have some disco or fire or hidden gene woma or blackhead to help finish off any of those tests, or any other tests that we don't have yet, and you want to bring some that we can use to develop new tests, or if you are making an order, or if you had in mind to make an order, you can do it before then and just bring the shed and just hand it right to Sean. Allie might be there as well, I'm not sure, but that'll be an easy way to get sheds to us for tests or to help develop new tests, and you won't have to ship them or anything. Just drop them off at the show. And any of the paid tests that come in at the show on Saturday or Sunday, they might be able to get them all done on Monday, but for sure by Tuesday night. So if you turn them in on Saturday or Sunday, you have results on Monday or Tuesday. So that's pretty sweet too.
Yeah, buddy. So hopefully we'll see you there. Let us know in the comments if you'll be attending. And of course, for the rest of September, we are going to have a booth at the All American Reptile and Plant Expo. And we will have, Ben will be there. That'll be in Charlotte. And
it won't be
yeah.
a full booth. It'll be just a small place where we'll have a banner up and we'll have a drop box. So there won't be like me or someone right there at our banner the whole time. But if you are going to the All American show in Charlotte, you'll be able to drop off sheds there as well. And same thing, I should be able to run them Monday or Tuesday and get results back to you. So we'll get that pretty quick back to you. And then, and besides ball pythons too, those of you bringing hog sheds or corn snakes or retics or berms or bloods or whatever, that either the Dallas show or the Charlotte show, bring those sheds and we'll put them to work.
Definitely. And same thing applies to Colubrid Fest. We are sponsoring them, as well as Colubrid and Colubroid Radio. So Clint and Zach have been kind enough to shout us out on there. So if you're going to Colubrid Fest at the end of the month, definitely bring your sheds and say hello. We'll be there for the wholesome, both for the like meet and greet, the symposium, and also the vending at the table on Sunday. So let us know which ones you're going to be coming to.
And both Kayla and I will be at that one. This will be the first time you and I have been together at a show, I think, right?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, you and I have never been at a show at the same time.
We're going to have a great time. I'm so excited. I mean, also because I'm a Colubrid nerd, but yeah, it'll be a good time.
It should be a fun show.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Ben, you've got I actually, I put the pictures on here, but I don't know anything about this actual case with a Paradox Chimera animal. So can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so Sheena from Blue and Gold Exotics sent in a shed from this animal. And Brian, you said you know her as well, right?
Yeah. She's got quite a few of my snakes. I've known Sheena since the very beginning. They're good people.
Awesome. So this is one that she hatched out. Was kind of crazy looking, and if you look careful at the head, you can kind of see that split face, kind of like
it totally is.
American Made Exotics one that we did. But this one, instead of the whole body being split like Matt's was, this one has that split face, but then there's kind of patches. And this in the pairing, one of the parents was a triple het for black axanthic, DG, and hypo. And then the other was double het black axanthic hypo. So there's a lot of possibles going on, and they could be heterozygous for 3 different things or homozygous for 2 of the 3. So anyway, we did run a test for her, and I let her know, and it's something we like to talk about on the show too. Like if you do have a paradox animal, for sure is a paradox animal, and you send in for genetic testing, it can give you an idea of how that animal may breed, but really the only cells that would give you the information you need about how that animal will breed would be like the cells in the gonads, the ones that are in this case making eggs. And so obviously we're not going to be able to test those specifically. So if those ones are, a specific genotype, the rest of the animal could look whatever, but it won't matter. The only thing that matters as far as how it breeds is what cells are the ones making the eggs. And so we gave her an idea of how this animal tested, but with the caveat that still really to know for sure when you have an animal like this, you really unfortunately have to breed them to know for sure. But they're such cool looking animals, it kind of adds to the fun.
Yes, it does. Now, on the off chance that this animal, since it is a female, like if it were a male, you could just get a sperm plug sample and send that in. You could know
even with the sperm plug sample, you have to be a little concerned. Like I would still be not 100%. Like I think that's an even better sample because, hopefully the majority of the cells in that sample are sperm cells, but you'll get some sloughing of other cells. So,
that makes sense.
Really nerdy about it and really technical.
Yeah.
If there's a fair amount of sloughing of other cells and that's a different genotype, it is still possible that a sperm plug could not be conclusive.
Like a hemipene casting is not going to hold the same thing, right, as an actual sperm plug would.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because it's not from the gonad; it's from the outside of the hemipene.
Yeah. So,
Huh.
if you're able to actually get, straight sperm and use like a capillary and you're very careful about trying to only get sperm,
Yeah.
I guess it would be semen, not sperm really, but
Yeah.
to get that specific, then that's even better, but still like, there's a chance there's a mix of other cells there that could make the test not perfect.
Yeah.
So anytime it's a paradox or chimera animal, genetic testing can give you an idea of how it might breed, but I would still say on these, and then obviously there's a chance that there are animals that are, het from one side and not the other, and they're chimera or paradox, and you can't even see that they are. And so if you take a patch of skin from one part and it tests het, and then from another part and it doesn't test het, it could be it's a chimera or paradox, and we just don't even know from looking at it visually. So weird stuff can happen. But yeah, with this one, we wanted to at least let her know what the test said from the patch of skin that we did run. And so we did get het for TSK / black axanthic, same thing. And then het for DG and homozygous for hypo. But looking at it, you can see, there's parts that are homozygous for that TSK or black axanthic as well. So yeah, pretty cool looking animal. Definitely crazy.
Wow, man, that's a really cool case. I'm loving these. I feel like I stumble across somebody posting a chimera somewhere almost every week, and I've been loving it. Actually, I'm still in the future. We're hopefully going to get a little like collab with Manx Morphs, because I believe she ended up getting 3 different chimeras hog noses. But 2 of them are completely split down the middle. I forget the morphs that were involved, but 2 like 50-50 split chimeras, hog noses, and then another one that was chimera at the head and then also was split down the belly but not the back. But the weird part is that they all 3 came from the same male. Different females, but the same male. So I'm so excited. Hopefully we're getting some shed samples from there. So we can also do like a sex determination test to see if there's like some bilateral gynandromorphy going on there. Super weird. And I don't know what could cause that male to have, I don't know what would be causing that, if it is just that male throwing it, or if it's just crazy luck.
Super interesting to see if he keeps.
Well, Ben, when you test a chimera animal like that, does the piece of the shed that you use play in? Like, if it's split down the middle, would it be, if someone's testing well, would it be better for them to send in the whole shed so you can test from different parts of the shed as opposed to the normal like quarter size piece? Because one side would test differently than the other, right?
Yeah, we were able to show that with Matt. So his was perfectly split down the middle, and one side was obviously a visual desert ghost and the other side was not. And so we tested it, and we tested it for pastel and het puzzle as well. And so both sides with his, since he did send in the whole shed, what we did is we took the head and we took a piece from the very far left side and the very far right side. So they're as far apart from each other as they could possibly be. And tested the same. They were heterozygous for pastel for both, which looking at the animal, it just looked like a pastel as far as pastel.
Yeah.
And they both tested het puzzle, but the DG, the side that looked DG, tested homozygous, and the side that didn't look DG tested het. So yeah, exactly what you're saying.
That's so wild.
Yeah. It's nice. It's that clean of a difference. And so if you do have a paradox animal, if it's split right down the middle, if you can send in, that whole shed, or at least a cross section of like mid body, and we'll literally take a piece from the very farthest parts that we can do that. But, at the same time, it still doesn't answer how is it going to breed,
Right.
But, just kind of for fun, if you want to do it, especially if you're paying for a test, but you send it in and be like, hey, this is a paradox, we'll happily double whatever you're paying for and run both sides for you, just to, for the nerdy part of it.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Right. So today's, I guess kind of our main topic today is going to be talking about chocolate ball pythons. So, Ben, how would you like to start that one out?
Yeah. So since we have chocolate is one of the new tests, and it's just a really, really cool morph, lots of really cool combinations that I've seen, and we just happen to have many people send in a whole bunch. We'll highlight one of them as our shed donor shout out for the week.
Mhm.
But we had lots of people send in cool pictures. We also had some sheds sent in to help validate that test, and so
Yeah.
just wanted to highlight that, and maybe we'll see how you all like it in the comments, and with the views, let us know if you dig this kind of an episode. But just thought we'd really kind of specifically focus on the chocolate project, chocolate combos, and what people are doing, and some of these pictures we'll show you, they're amazing animals. And we had Brian come on. He happened to be talking with me about chocolates while we were kind of prepping for this episode. I was like, hey, you want to come on and talk about chocolates?
Yeah, let's go.
That's what I love to talk about. So
rock on. So from JLP Morse, we've got these two pretty chocolate lesser DGs. And let's see. And another chocolate DG. So these are like on the like basically as we go, we're just gonna add more morphs onto it, basically. Yes. But also JLP Morphs is we sponsor them, don't we?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's nice to see stuff from them. And we're doing a shed donor shout out early this round, like we mentioned, because Brandon Ramos sent us a whole bunch of chocolate sheds, possible super chocolate sheds. And so he's one of the people who helped make this happen. So go check out his morph market. He has some really nice looking animals on there. And you'll see the chocolate pictures that he sent. They're so pretty. So,
and you can also let him know which one of those pictures you think he should use as his profile picture for morph.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have one yet.
No, I saw that and I was like, man, he's got 65 star, like perfect 5-star ratings, and like 50 followers on Morph Market, but no profile picture. That or maybe it didn't load.
Pictures,
but
Brandon, you got to use one of them. They're really nice animals.
Yeah, I really like that bamboo spider there, with the double head. Like that head stamp is everything. It's so cute. But yeah, here's some of the stuff he sent. So we got got an Enchi chocolate double het hypo G stripe. Oh wait, no, that was the pairing. Sorry. Appears to be a super chocolate, 66% possible double het hypo G stripe. And I'll zoom that in just a little bit more. So, here, Ben, you want to read?
I love how chocolate reduces the pattern and just softens, rounds everything off, especially in a like this. So cool.
And I really like this one. I love how it interacts with the Enchi, and see, this one appears to be an Enchi butter super chocolate. I like how it interacts with lesser and butter too. Also, it just makes the name sound even more delicious. Like, I'm going to be hungry after this. And this appears to be a super chocolate yellow belly, which I don't know where, like, it's weird that it's just got that little white spot there. It looks almost pied.
Do you know, Brian, is that common for the super chocolate yellow belly, for that to change the pattern?
I don't, it would have to be yellow belly does that sometimes, and it'll give you a ringer. But that's a big time ringer there.
Yeah.
And just
I've never had one quite like that outside of maybe a champagne cinnamon type animal. But that's a nice ringer. That's a beautiful snake.
Yeah,
that's a cool one.
Definitely. I love the hypo in this, or definitely hypo in there. Looks like an OD super chocolate hypo, possibly also sugar. So hopefully we can test for that too. When we come out with those, I just want to have like a mini panel that's just like a delicious panel, like chocolate, vanilla, sugar, everything that sounds edible.
The dessert menu.
The dessert menu, yes.
Dessert panel.
The dessert panel, yeah, just for fun. Also, it looks almost, this animal looks almost lavender. Like, that's so pretty. Like the colors you'd find on a lavender corn snake, kind of, but it's on a ball python. An entirely different thing going on. It's so cool. This is possible super chocolate butter sugar and 66% het hypo. which I'm smitten with the fading, like the fading in and out of that dark coloration between the spots.
And then the reduced pattern and that softening of all the pattern. There's no sharp edges. Everything's soft. I love that look.
Same here. And then the last one pairing was OD chocolate fire het hypo to a butter chocolate possible sugar het hypo. It appears to be super chocolate sugar or super chocolate butter sugar. Another dessert menu and animal. And pos het hypo. Another really like soft looking animal. It's so cute.
Very cool.
Yeah. And so these were some things sent in to us from Randy Remington of Snake Morphs, snakemorphs.com. And so this is a double het VPI xanthic clown, and the granddaughter of one of the original Garcia female. Which, do you know about what is the Garcia line for people like me who don't know about that?
Yeah, and that's something that Randy specifically and one of his friends, they've sent quite a few Garcia samples to me. And so I wanted to mention that. I was glad that he said something about Garcia chocolate. So it's a specific
Garcia chocolates.
Yeah, Garcia is a specific line of chocolates. And the group in Canada, from what they've told me, it does test the same. So it's the same chocolate, the causal mutation for a normal chocolate and a Garcia chocolate, it's the same. It's an identical thing. But it's kind of like with the question with high OD versus OD, is there maybe another mutation close by that makes the high ODs look a little different from the ODs? People have questioned that with the Garcia line. So I do want to take those sheds that Randy and his friend have sent in from the Garcia line and see if I can do some whole genome and pick out. I don't know if we'll be able to, but I do want to look at that. It's one of those projects that takes some extra time, like the high OD one that we're still working on, still getting data back. But yeah, thank you for sending in sheds, Randy, and I will definitely be looking at that. I like that question. I think it's interesting that the causal mutation is identical, and then at the same time would be interesting to see if we can pick out something that is traveling along with it to make it a little different. But we might strike out. We'll see.
Well, I guess we'll find out eventually. And I love this picture. I love this animal. I love this pose. It's so cute. Like, what a happy little snake. And so this is actually the daughter of the one in the picture. And she's a chocolate cinnamon Mojave het hypo. That are granddaughter. I think granddaughter. So granddaughter also in the Garcia line. And this is another granddaughter of that animal, a possibly chocolate cinnamon GHI het hypo. And I love the, I don't know, I really like the reduced pattern on the head on this girl. It's really pretty.
Very cool. Well, if you still have that animal, Randy, you have to send that shed. I'll run it for you.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be chocolate.
That would be my guess. So this is from Balls of Fury. They sent in a picture of this animal, which is a screamer genetically and visually. Black head, black pastel, leopard, chocolate, clown, het for DG and hypo. Just look at that pattern.
That is really cool. Just this crazy side pattern and a wide, reverse back stripe. That's awesome.
It reminds me almost of like blood pythons, like short-tailed Sumatrans, like where they have kind of a busier pattern on the side, but also just a splat reverse stripe going down the back.
Yeah.
Except for that tail, that's much more like, I mean, it says leopard to me. And hey, I know the guy who made this.
Yeah. So, that one, I wish I could tell you what it was. As soon as it sheds, we're going to figure it out. But I penciled in, I think it came from a chocolate DG double het hypo clown to a pastel leopard phantom krypton het DG. I hatched both those snakes. The phantom I've had in question a little bit on the female, but I think it's there. I've got penciled in that is a chocolate leopard yellow belly DG clown that's 50% het hypo. I don't know at all that that's correct. It just based on the rest of the clutch, it made the most sense. But we're going to be testing this animal for the hypo, the chocolate, and probably the yellow belly too. To be honest with you, that would be those would be the main tests I would want on that one. I don't think it's got phantom in there. I don't see any sense in testing it for phantom, but those would be the ones. I think it's a given that it's leopard. It's got the leopard head stamp. But those are the three that I'd want to test on that one, and that's my first holdback male from this year too. Especially if it tests hypo. I've got some other clutches coming up that could cause him to become available, but right now, he's the best male I've hatched this year.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Through 10 clutches, I still got 33 left to hatch. So.
Yeah. And is this that same male or is that a different one?
Yeah, it's that same male. It's just a light box picture. But you can see the flaming in the pattern down there at the bottom that would make, show why I would think it would be potentially yellow belly. I'd be surprised if it doesn't test yellow belly with the flaming up into the dorsal. The biggest question to me really is the chocolate and obviously the head hypo. That would be, having that head with the double visual would be a game changer.
Very cool.
He's a nice one.
Yeah.
Now that one's a clutch mate. Also a male, definitely DG clown. I think definitely leopard. But I'm gonna need to test this one for the hypo, the chocolate, the phantom, and the yellow belly. I think it could be all of it. I see a lot of pattern in there that looks a lot like the phantom animals I've hatched in the past with leopard. But I mean, once you add pastel, it gets so tricky to start picking out all the genes that are in there. Heavily pixelated side patterns. I wouldn't be surprised if it tested pastel, chocolate, leopard, yellow belly, DG clown. Hopefully with the hypo, but it's really hard. I mean, it's hard to look at that animal and say it's so nice that we can not have to. I mean, I've had a disclosure for years about theoretical ID. We do our best to look at what we think, but now I can definitively say what this animal is because every gene that's in there can be tested for. So we're going to be doing some bulk discounts this year, I think.
Oh yeah, that's why we have them.
Yeah.
And this guy looks cool.
Yeah, that one I believe is a Krypton. That's going to be I believe and I don't think I need to test that for DG, but I believe that's a pastel leopard, yellow belly DG Krypton. That's 50% head hypo. But I mean that could totally have chocolate too. So I don't see any reason to not go ahead and test it for it. Because like I said, with the bulk discount, it's getting down into the pricing where an extra low $20, $22, $23, I can go ahead and test for the other gene. But that's a neat looking one from the clutch.
Definitely. I mean, especially if it's like an extra, maybe an extra $20 with the bulk discounts, especially if it's going to add, a couple $100 to that animal's value or more.
Oh yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, if that's got chocolate, that's, you're easily going to get 25 times return on that testing for that gene. And if you whiff, it's a trip through Chick-fil-A drive-through with today's prices. So
yeah. Too cool. That one's cute. I like that little horseshoe head stamp.
Yeah, that's another one of the DGs. That's what I believe is a
lot of genes.
I think I've got on the card that's everything except pastel in a DG het clown, 50% het hypo, but I've also had people tell me that they believe it's a Krypton. So, I don't see it, but I mean, I've had people that work with Cryptic a lot tell me that, so it's worth the test. So that one I believe is probably a chocolate leopard, yellow belly, phantom, DG, het clown, 50% het hypo. But we're going to figure it out. This whole clutch has shed stickers on. I mean, it has test stickers on it. So we're going to be collecting some of those on this one.
For sure. Yeah, he's cute.
Okay, that's
so cool.
This is one of the ones because we hatched the mother to this snake in 2021, and when I first it was when Krypton was first kind of becoming a thing, and so we hatched this girl and then her sister who's a super pastel phantom yellow belly Krypton het DG. And opinions have been mixed on this snake. I don't really see much of an eye stripe. I think it's probably a pastel leopard phantom yellow belly DG clown head hypo, but I'm gonna test that to figure it out. Now,
Yeah.
when I'm testing this, so if I'm testing something that's het clown or het cryptic, okay, because I've got some others I need to test. I'm kind of sidetracking a little bit here. I should test for the het cryptic, right? Because if it's a if it's a krypton, it would test for het cryptic and het clown.
Yes.
But if it's a het clown, it's just going to test for het clown. So if by the virtue of the krypton being there, I don't know that one. I think it's a clown. A couple of other people I've talked to think it's a clown. Then other people I've talked to think it's a krypton. But I don't think that one has chocolate. But we're going to throw it against the wall anyway and just see what happens there.
Yeah.
May as well. That's just too cool. And yeah, no, if it does have an eye stripe, it's like maybe that little dot right behind the eye and right in front. But even then, it's
but if you think about the other krypton that we put out, there's no chance here of super pastel. So, the head like not that one. I think we're back that one. So you see how the eye stripe is really white in the center and everything. That's more typical of the kryptons I've hatched in the past with pastel and DG. So when you get to that other one, the head's basically clean. I mean, I guess you could say there's a tiniest amount of an eye stripe, but there's definitely something different between those two if that is a krypton. It could be the phantom, that's wiping the head a little bit too. So that one's probably going to be we're just going to test every gene in the pairing and see what happened.
Yeah, may as well.
What it is.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, that white stripe down the back, I just aesthetically love that.
And again, I'm not a photographer. I mean, that picture does no justice for what that snake looks like sitting on the cypress mulch in the tub.
Oh, I bet. So pretty. I like this.
Okay,
too. That eye stripe.
This is one that we hatched year before last. This one's actually with Mike at Banana Bread Royals now, but this one is so. I saw a chocolate cinnamon clown that Justin hatched in 2018 or 19, and I bought a female chocolate cinnamon het clown. And I've always been fixated with the Russo gene, even though I've only bought one Russo animal that was in my original set of ball pythons that I was breeding. It was just a pastel Russo het clown. And I put a spot nose clown to her, hatched a male spot nose Russo clown. I was like, oh man, this interaction's unbelievable. So I kept that male and I put that male to the chocolate cinnamon het clown. Now, in the first year, we hit everything but a dark night. We hit chocolate cinnamon clowns, we hit cinnamon clowns, chocolate clowns, but none of the allelic combination. The next year, I was actually at the Arlington show in 22 when this clutch was pipping and crawling out. My son sent me a picture of all of them piled on top of each other, and I immediately saw this animal. I was like, holy crap, we hit all of it. That is a cinnamon Russo dark night, which is a cinnamon Russo chocolate spot nose clown. And a male, and that one sold last February at Arlington, well, just after Arlington, to Mike Matasano, I think I'm saying his name right, at Banana Bread Royals. He's posted it a bunch of times, but that's a powerhouse right there, and he's starting to get babies from it. So I'm getting pictures from him on babies, like, wait, you think this is that kind of stuff. But the cool thing is everything that comes from that animal, assuming you pair it to a visual clown, is either going to be chocolate or spot nose, but never both. So if you had some chocolate clown females to put that to, everything's going to either be a dark night combo or a super chocolate clown combo, which is two really good outcomes that you can predict a lot more. It's a more stable prediction than the average pairing.
Yeah. I was trying to find pictures that maybe Banana Bread Royals had posted online, but I can't find anything. But now I just
he's tagged me in a bunch of stories, but I haven't. I know we're all on dessert. I'm gonna go get some here. So
right.
But yeah, that snake is probably, if it's not number one, it's top three of snakes that I've hatched all time. I mean, as far as the visual appeal,
Oh
that
yeah.
white flaming coming up the side. I mean, Russo is such an underrated gene. Of course, it's a bell complex gene, so it scares a lot of people. You know, you don't want to have it on both sides of a lot of projects, but you
Mm,
know, to have that in a male without a lot of bell complex to put it to, man, that's where all that white's coming from. You know, that's
yeah.
coming up the side, and you know, I think Russo often gets overlooked for special in clown, and I've hatched so many Russo clown combos that have a direct comparison with special, and I mean, I believe Russo just is the best gene in clown from the Bell complex, personally. Of course, that's a personal thing. Everybody's got to decide what they like. I mean, just because I like it doesn't mean everybody else does. But that's a stunning animal right there.
Oh yeah. I can't stop like thinking about that face. Like just the bright eye and then that stripe in the middle of it. It
Oh, and
reminds
it's
me of like,
so red. Like the head was just so. I mean, it was almost bright red. It's hard to pick
yeah,
it up in the video.
That is awesome. And
so pretty.
it's so unique as far as like
Hmm.
colors and the fading from being so dark to white in a ball python. That's just, I think that's a big part of why it's visually appealing. It's just so
Hmm.
different.
Oh yeah. Uh I like
Oh,
this.
yeah, that's another Krypton we hatched. Ben
Mhm.
actually tested this one before. I think before you even had a lab in Texas. This was when I was just sending them to you directly. But
Yeah.
this is that's a, if I remember correctly, that's a chocolate butter hypo Krypton het DG. Um, Yeah, I think that's right. It's been a while. I think that was one we hatched in 21, so it's been a minute. But yeah, that one's pretty cool. We kept that one for a while, and then the hypo test came. We tested them and tested for hypo, and
Hmm.
I had one that was that was the sire to that first one you showed, like the one that we're going to test, that whole clutch that's up there right now.
Yeah.
That was a clutch mate to this one. So they were both males. I kept both of them. I was waiting for a way to test for hypo. Then they both tested for het hypo, and I opted to go to the one that's chocolate and didn't have butter, just because I like butter, but I'd rather have it in a female than a male. I don't want to spread it that far and wide.
Hmm.
So we ended up keeping the other one, and then I can't remember the dude's name. He's out of Georgia. He picked it up a couple of Aprils ago at a little local show here, and drove up from Georgia and got it. And he sent me pictures this year of some babies that he'd hatched with it. So you know, he had hit some hypo chocolate stuff in there that's going to be. He's testing for DG and some other stuff.
All right. He's cool.
Okay, that's a clutch mate to the Dark Knight. That's the chocolate cinnamon Russo clown without spot nose.
Mm,
So that's the you know, you can start to see that white coming up the side. It's just not blown up like spot nose does to it.
yeah.
But that's a neat one, and I've still got that girl upstairs right now. She didn't go for me this year.
Mhm.
I paired her to a chocolate black pastel hypo DG hat clown. Um, and I was just heartbroken because she got to 24, 25 millimeters and just building right along, slamming food. And then all of a sudden she stopped eating. I'm like, okay, this is one of two things. We're going to find out the next scan day, and the next scan day they were just disintegrating. So, but
Aw.
it wasn't her year. She's a big
Dang it.
girl. She'll maybe drop a dozen next year. You know, that's the
Yeah.
thing about ball pythons. You know, if you pair 100, you're going to get 50, 60 clutches at best. You know,
Yeah.
I paired a little bit over 100 this year, got 43, and I'm thrilled with it. You know, it's a little different than the colubrids, where if you brumate and pair, even if you don't pair, you're probably going to get slugs. But you know,
Yeah.
if you cycle, they're going to cycle. Where the ball pythons cycle kind of when they feel like it. You know,
Yeah.
there's really no other way to put it. We generally get clutches 12 months out of the year. You know, so
Hmm.
there's no season like there is with the colubrids.
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out like what those side markings look like. They look like
And
almost like Hebrew writing a little
to
bit.
me, it looks
Yeah,
like the elephants, a line of
yeah,
elephants.
Yeah.
I've had people say dinosaurs, elephants, you know, just something kind of walking along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I really like the way that pattern did. And I think one of the ones you're going
Hmm.
to show in a minute is the same snake without Russo. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
so yeah,
cool.
so that's a chocolate cinnamon clown. So you can see the difference of what Russo brings to the table on the previous snake too.
Yeah.
Because you know, this one's still got the white, the textbook white that the chocolate will cause in the combo. But it's got that really neat color that the chocolate and the cinnamon brings together, and the pattern alteration. That bold back stripe. I really like that snake.
Oh yeah. Ooh, chocolate hypo something.
Yep, hypo super chocolate.
Nice.
I think that one may have been GHI too. I hatched quite a few of those over a 3-year period, but this was one of the nicer ones that. But yeah, Mike at RP Reps, I bought a little group of hypo chocolate and hypo GHI stuff from him. So I think that came from a hypo chocolate GHI male to a hypo chocolate, and I think I just called it hypo super chocolate possible GHI. I kept that snake. I kept that snake for a while. Now Eric Seto at Seto Balls has that snake. I sold it to him as an adult. I never actually bred it because I ended up with some stuff that had more recessives in it that I wanted to use. So I think I traded him that. Yeah, I traded him that snake for a Cypress Clown.
Yeah, that's cool.
Got to have GHI in it. That is such a cool pattern.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. I mean, it's almost blue in person.
Yeah, I bet. Ben, I think you've got I know you have a chocolate hypo of some kind somewhere in your collection that I remember looking at, and I was just like, I just need to keep staring at this snake's like bluish gray for a little bit.
It came out almost like gunmetal gray, and then the next year I had to see the difference. So I hatched some hypo super GHIs, and I definitely prefer the super chocolate to the super GHI. One thing I've noticed about super GHIs, they hatch small.
Really?
You know, I had 3 clutches that had over half hypo super GHI, and every super GHI in there was 25-30% smaller at birth from the same size egg than the ones that weren't super GHI. I don't know if that was just, again, it's too small of a sample size to say that that's genetic, but it's, you know, it's definitely compelling to think about.
Yes, it is. I mean, yeah, I guess if anybody else in the chat is like really into breeding GHIs, if you've hatched some out, if you've noticed the same thing, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, they did great. I mean, they thrived. It was just they were 45, 50 grams, where everything else in the clutch was 68 to 75. You know, so
yeah. And little Hondo knows.
Yeah, I picked up some. So I think Ben's 2 trios of hypo Tangerine Honduran milks. One trio's had amory, the other's not, and we didn't have the best luck with them this year. I think the move kind of messed them up a little bit, but
that happens. Yeah,
we ended up getting these 3 eggs, and then my second one slugged out, and then my third one gave me 5 eggs, but 3 of them have gone bad, but 2 of them are still going strong, and they're due to hatch around the 1st of October. And then the last one, that's usually the first one to lay for Ben, just decided she's just not going to lay this year. I had two sheds 30 days apart. Like the first shed, I was like, okay, she doesn't look very thick. I don't think that's a pre-lay shed. But then she ate twice and went right back in the shed after another lock. And I'm like, oh, this has got to be it. And then she shed, and now she's just roaming around looking for food. So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna call it a year on these guys, and we'll do a little bit, do a proper dormant period next year, and they will have been here a year, you know, settled in. It's you know, when you move stuff like that, I mean, you know, like even with ball pythons, I've had friends that have moved, you know, across the country, or even just a couple of towns away, or even across town. And, you know, some people are like, man, it totally ruined my season. But it's amazing how many people say, man, I had the best season ever, you know, the year after I moved. So I think it just kind of depends on, you know, what environment you're leaving and going into. Because it's almost funny. Like you know, ball pythons can build such habits. But it's wild how I can have one here that a good example. One of my friends, Scott, he bought a pastel inchy yellow belly pied het dreamsicle. It's had lavender, and that was probably the worst eating snake I ever kept as long as I kept it. I mean, she would eat one small ASF maybe every 2 or 3 months. I mean, and she did great until she hit like 1,300 grams, and then she just, man, the faucet turned off, and it was almost an entire year. And I finally was like, dude, you're working this project. You want to smoke and deal on the snake? I'm over it. And he's like, yeah, I'll take it. And this was, I want to say this was back in April. And he sent me a picture a week later of her taking a frozen thawed medium rat from him And then she ate a rat the next week. And then he said, it was like 2 months later, he's like, dude, she's eating every week. I'm going to pair her up. And about 2 days ago, he sent me the ovulation picture. So it never
Well,
fails
man.
when you send someone something like that, your worst feeder, they're going to send you a picture of it on 11 eggs, 8, 9 months later. But it is weird because it's something with the environment, I mean, just
Yeah.
the change of environment. Like there's, I've people try all kind of tricks with finicky feeding ball pythons, and I've gotten to a point where I just don't do that anymore. Like I wait them out now, but you can put them in a shipping box. I've heard people, simulating shipping them to themselves, riding around in the car with them everywhere they go. The box goes for the entire day, and then they bring it back and put it into a clean, fresh tub, and then they take off eating for them. There's all kind of little tricks
Yeah.
like that, but it never goes, and then I'll sell somebody my best feeding snake that's never missed, and invariably 2 months later they're going to be like, man, this snake hasn't eaten for me at all. What's going? And I'm like, adults just take a little while to settle in. Sometimes it's as simple as they run a gray tub here and they put them in a semi-clear tub. Funny animals.
Yes, they
That's
are.
Sure.
They're not like the milk snakes. The milk snakes will eat anywhere, in anything, at any time. In shed, not in shed, they don't care,
Bless Lamprepeltis. And Pituophis is like that too.
The bull snakes. Now the bull snakes. Now I've got some Quint recessive project bull snakes. They're let's see. I've got visual. The males are visual hypo. Let's see. It's Trumbauer hypo, Balaam exanthic, and white side. But it's
white side bulls. Love it.
It's het patternless and albino, and then the two females have complementing genetics for that. So we'll be broodmating them this year, and then my second trio will broodmate next year probably. I've got one female in there I probably could breed, but I'm with colubrids you just don't push it. I mean, with ball pythons you can breed a 2-year-old female and get a 12 egg clutch and she's just fine. I mean, it's just not. It all depends on how they eat. But with the colubrids they just have a little bit more of a, I think they're a little more delicate. Their oviducts are a little more delicate, a little more prone to egg binding, especially the ones I choose to work with, like the pyros and the hognose and stuff like that. Like, there's some pretty hard and fast rules you need to follow with those guys to, to optimize the health and the success that you have with them.
Oh yeah. It's like I tend to follow the kind of the rule of 3 with corn snakes, and then rat snakes. It's like rule of 4. 4 years, 400 grams, 4 foot, that sort of thing. And same thing with corn snakes, which some people breed them younger, but I found that like they seem to be hardier. Like they'll breed for you, but they're, that it seems to be the safest bet. So,
and it's totally
your mileage may vary.
Yeah, and it's totally opposite of ball pythons, because the girls that I have that are the most predictable large clutch laying girls are the girls that win it too. If they gave you all the ones that took me, 4 or 5 years to get a clutch out of, that's going to be a 5 to 7 egg clutch without fail 100% of the time.
And they almost never go 2 years in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got girls that laid 4 clutches in a row for me. The first one was right around the time they turned 2. And these are some of the girls that I'm selling just because their genetics don't complement what I'm doing anymore. But I mean, one that jumps out at me is an orange drain clown that I've got that, she's laid 4 years in a row, and she's a 2018. And then one that actually Sheena got is probably one of the top most beautiful snakes I've ever hatched. It's a super orange drain vanilla yellow belly het pied. Way better looking than the visual version of it. Not quite as powerful, but just a gorgeous snake.
Yeah.
I hatched her in 21, and she laid at 2, 3, 4. So I got 3 clutches out of her before she turned 4. Wow. So it's like, and she's still on food and just jamming right along. I think, working with a lot of different species definitely gives you an appreciation to, what the needs are of each species, feeding habits, how to optimally feed. Because I think, we all feed our snakes more than they would eat in the wild. I mean, that's just a fact. But, optimizing healthy growth is always, that should be the goal of every keeper, whether you breed or not, and how you optimize healthy growth in a ball python is completely different than a hognose, which is completely different than a bull snake. You know, the bulls like bigger meals, more spread out. The hognose like smaller meals, closer together. You know, I
Yep.
mean, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, thank goodness for programs that tell me what needs to be fed what day, or I would be freaking lost.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yep. And then ball
absolutely.
pythons change their mind all the dang time.
Yes, they
Oh
do.
yeah. What little mind they have.
I love educating people about snakes because they're like so worried that they're just like, conniving, like planning, to attack. And I'm like, sweetie, no, they're not very smart. And that's
No,
part of
they're
their
really
charm. I
not.
love them.
I'm surprised hognose aren't extinct. I mean, they would eat a damn pencil if I would let them. I mean, it's amazing. Like they've tried to eat shirts, shoes. You know, they just come out and
Yeah.
anything their mouth touches when they're in feeding mode, they're going to start trying to eat it. You know, it just
And
doesn't
they're
really
gonna
matter.
eat it sideways.
Oh, absolutely. Well, when we do shows, you know, one of the most common questions you get is, you know, what snake would be the best choice for our first pet snake? And, you know,
Mhm.
everybody that does shows gets that all the time. And
Oh
usually they tell them whatever it is they're selling. I've never
yeah.
been one to do that because the last thing I want is a problem for a buyer. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, I generally ask them, answer their question with a question. What are you looking for in a pet? I mean, are you looking for something that you want to handle a lot? Are you looking for something that's active? Are you looking for something you want to display in your living room in a nice lit up enclosure? Or are you, you know, and then usually they're like, well, I want something that I can hold that's not going to bite me. And I'm like, well, you know, if you're willing to put the snake's needs ahead of your need to have a display showcase animal, a ball python makes a great pet. I said, because here's the difference. And a lot of times I'll take a ball python out of the display and I'll set it on the table behind my table. And then I'll come around to the front of the table and talk to them and show them a few snakes and everything. And then I'll call their attention to the fact that the ball python's moved 2 inches, you know, still sitting where it was. It's just now starting to realize it's not in the display, you know. And then I explained to them all the other snakes that you can pick from that make excellent pets: corn snakes, king snakes, the pyros make great pets, the hognose make great pets. If you set one over there and you turn your head for 2 seconds, it's gone. It's already
Yeah.
on the other side of the building. You know, I said, so, you know, those are some of the differences. But man, I just love all the species, and now I'm
Mhm.
getting to work with some of the more bucket list type species that I never have. I bred corns, I bred all kind of kings and stuff like that back in the, you know, 90s and, you know,
Yeah.
early 2000s. And you know, and I still love them, but it's like, you know, the one thing I wanted to do this year was a Montane King. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do, and then
Ooh.
I just happened to stumble into the Power Milanas, the Arizona Mountain Kings, because saw a guy that was kind of reducing his collection, so I was able to get some really nice, you know, but they're really nice, like F2, F3, you know, generation from the wild, so they're good, strong bloodlines.
Mhm.
And the first thing that amazed me about those was how small they are. Like they came in and he's like, well, you don't want to breed a female until she hits at least 90 grams. And I'm like,
What?
90
90
grams? Yeah.
grams?
They're tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean, I call them tree boa king snakes because I mean, they're so fun to interact with. They're just little wiry things. But
Yeah.
the first female that laid this year laid 5 eggs. She was 93 grams when she came out of brumation. I didn't weigh her when she was gravid because I try to not mess with them at all.
Yeah.
But after she laid, she weighed 89 grams and the eggs weighed 91. And it's just amazing to me that something that small could, you know, do that. And then my second one laid
Yeah.
8, you know, and then the third one laid 5. And then I did hit an apple male this year, which is kind of cool. Not a lot of people have those. It's a amelanistic Applegate special,
Ooh.
and it's just a bright orange and white snake, go balls, and you know that one's home. It's not going anywhere.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even know if I'll breed her or not. But you know, she's definitely got to hang around here, even if she's just a display animal, because it's the most orange and white snake I've ever had. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
My wife's terrified of the bull snakes. Found that out last
Oh.
night when the big male came shooting out of his tub and shot straight for the door where she was standing, and all I heard was footsteps, and oh hell no, because he's the full display guy. Like he's the blow up
Oh
and
yeah.
kiss and open his mouth, but it's all bluff. I can literally reach
Mhm.
right into his face and just pick him up, and he calms down. Like he doesn't even
Yeah.
try to bite, but he's
Oh.
figured it out. And now I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna put a rack big enough for these guys because they're
Mhm.
the 70 series tub is just not enough. It's good enough for them right now, but I think I'm going to get the ARS. I think it's called a 9706. It's the side pull with the big window in the front.
I
I think I'm
love
gonna get that.
those.
I think I'm gonna get that for the bulls. You don't really need it for the males, but this guy's so crazy. I think he's gonna end up going in one just so he can be over here when I'm cleaning over here. You know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But no, you know, we've got gophers, you know, gopher snakes too, and rosy boas and
Got any
Dublin, apricot
Applegate
Dublin.
albino gophers?
I do not. I've got my gophers are Rusty and Meeker. I
Nice.
really like that. I've got a
Hmm.
male Rusty Meeker and two female Rusty Het Makers that I
Nice.
got from Jason at Envy. And
Hmm.
so those are growing up, and then my other bull snakes are growing up, and it's just a lot of snakes. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's so
Sounds like
fulfilling to
paradise.
have a well, it's so fulfilling to have a variety. You know, and that's
Hmm.
you know we kind of tacked on. You know, we've been BC's balls forever. That's how people got to know us. You know, I mean, that's when it became a business. It was like you know. BC's my initials, my wife's initials, and all three of her kids' initials. So it like
Ah,
made sense to put that in there.
of course.
But it was like BC's balls. That's what we're doing. Well,
Hmm.
you know, by next year, that's going to be a little bit disingenuous because balls are going to be about 20-25% of what we do. So we tacked on the BC's balls and Reptilia, like you see under my picture there. And then it's eventually going to get shortened down to just BC's Reptilia. But, you know, I want people to know that we're still BC's balls before we do
Yeah.
that. So we've kind of, you know, on the new displays and all the new signage and everything, the logo actually does say BC's Reptilia, but we're going to leave the balls on it on like Morph Market and socials and stuff for a long time
Makes
because I mean,
sense.
it's not like I'm not going to breed ball pythons. It's just I'm not going to breed hundreds of adult ball pythons when, you know, we're going to have potentially in 3 or 4 years, 700-800 you know, hatchling colubrids, mainly hognose. You know, that's going to dictate a lot of time there that I can't be, you know, messing with in the ball python room with every combo we can possibly work. So
Yeah.
it's kind of forced me to specialize back to, you know, what I really care about the most. And that's just a few key projects that we're working.
Yeah.
Cool.
Most people seem to be moving toward that. The stuff that really means something to them. Like stuff that makes them happy, not just every combo they can think of.
Well, it is. I mean, we've been fortunate, and the community supported us, and we've done really well over the last, you know, 7 or 8 years of breeding ball pythons, and it's afforded me the, you know, I'll say me, us, you know, the family. It's a family thing, even though nobody really helps clean or feed or anything. But my wife loves to go to shows, and she's great with people. So, you know, I mean, that's definitely a contribution. Plus, she works at an architect and engineering firm that does all our art and stuff like that. So anytime
Oh,
I need a
cool.
logo design or anything like that, I can be, hey, baby, this is what I want. And she'll shoot it to graphic design. And, they, you know, then, you know, I get that for like, you know, buying breakfast or sending pizza or something like that.
Yeah.
Even then, they're like, you didn't have to do that. But no, and they're, you know, it's funny. She told me last night that it's funny how normalized this has become for her because she's not a snake person. I mean, we've been married 24 years. I've had snakes all 24 years we've been married. But, you know, she held her first snake at Tinley a couple of years ago. And now, and she had to have a few of these to do that. But this was it was
She
at
did it
the
though.
auction. Oh, she did. I walked back from the bar with a couple more beers, and I looked down. I bought a BPI Xanthic Clown at the auction, and I walked back, and it didn't even register with me that she was holding it. Like it's the first snake she'd ever held since we've been together. I've tried to get her. I've got a 17-year-old male normal that Boy Scouts, and I'm a merit badge counselor for Boy Scouts for Reptile and Amphibian Merit Badge, and you know that Bert, my son's ball python he's had since he's 3, has been passed around by Boy Scouts, and I mean, if there was anything you could do to make that snake bite you, it's already happened. He's not ever going to bite. And even so, like I'll hand Bert to her, and she's like, oh, like it's just this irrational fear.
Aww.
And then once she held that one the next day at Tinley, as we would sell a snake, and she'd grab one out of a deli that was under the table to replace. I mean, she's just like, okay, do you want this one or this one? All right, well, I got this one. I'm gonna put it in here, and I'm like, yeah, one of those little ones is gonna bite. One of those little ones is going to bite the shit out of her. She's going to say, like, it's not a big deal. Like,
no.
I told her I'm almost hoping it happens. Like, I love you, but I hope it happens because you're going to see it feels like getting slapped with the hook end of Velcro. Is really what.
Yeah, it's just spicy Velcro.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But no, but she said like how normal it is, like where she works, you know, people would be like, oh, that's right, you're out of town that weekend at a snake show. She's like, I 10 years ago, like that would have been such a foreign thing for her to say. But, you know, we took her to the first show. I mean, I took her to the first show and we had such a good time that now it's
Oh,
like, it's on her calendar for the whole year. And now we're putting together next year's schedule. And, you know, she's putting in for those weekends off. And we usually leave on Thursday and, you know, get there early, plenty of time to rest and relax, park the animals in the room, you know, be able to get to set up early and get set up, because the only time you can really walk around the show is the, you know, the setup time. Once the show starts, you're behind your table, you're trapped. So
yeah.
I like to get set up early and be there so I can at least say hey to everybody and maybe check out a few things. And
Oh, yeah.
especially if JMG's there, probably drop a little bit of money with him. But
As you do.
next time we'll see him at Tinley.
Yep.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Well, good.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for making time to do this. I know we made you have to pause your rodent room work.
No, I did not mind, Ben. I'll take every opportunity I can to put off cleaning the rodent room. But
Yeah.
no, I'm almost done with it. We're just kind of winding down prep because we'll be leaving about 4 a.m. Thursday for Dallas. And so tomorrow is just a big day of, you know, battening down the hatches, so to speak. And, you know, my son will be over Sunday to feed the rodents and check waters and all that stuff. But then Thursday too to dump tubs. But, you know, I can get this done and got a couple of clutches pipping now, a redhead clown clutch and a confusion clown clutch with a bunch of other codoms. So we'll see what pops out of those. Then nothing else new to hatch while we're away. 6 new to lay. So I'm just going to hydrate the hell out of those tubs. And yeah, it's funny how over time you get to a point. It's just like with kids, right? I mean, Caleb, you have kids? I don't know, but
No.
you know, Ben, you've got kids, right? So it's like if you have multiple kids, like the first kid, you're like waiting until they're 18 months old to eat peanut butter, testing them before you give them a shrimp or anything like that. By the third kid, it's like 6 months old, sucking on a shrimp dipped in peanut butter. It's like, oh, they'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
It's kind of gotten that way where I used to would freak out, but now it's just like, you know, they know what to do. It's just like the eggs hatching, they know what to do. It's not, you know. But yeah, we're looking forward to Dallas. I'll have to make sure and say hey to Sean. I kind of looked on the map. We're not too far away from each other. So
good.
You know, we'll get over there and, you know, hopefully we have a good show. You guys have a good time. Have a good time at the AARPE. I know Troy's and Nick are doing some good work with that show. We're going to be vending it starting in 25 in Charlotte. So that should be a lot of fun. That's not that far of a drive. I don't know what to think about not driving at least 8 hours to go to a show. I mean, it's going to be kind of cool. But I appreciate you having me on. It's all fun as always. And Ben, we appreciate what you're doing, brother.
Right on. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it as well.
And
any of you that you know have watched this episode, you have a very good feel for Brian, and this is kind of a unique opportunity where he's kind of, you know, letting some ball python proven breeder girls let go. 5 have already gone. So especially if you're looking to add some proven breeder females that you are coming from someone you trust, let Brian. I bet that after he goes to a show or two, they're going to all be gone.
Probably.
Yeah, and I've got records on all of them to show you. You know what I mean? It's not just here's a snake. I can tell you what they laid, when they laid it, when they didn't lay, what their eating habits are, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't, you know, I try to be more thorough than, you know, what I've experienced as a buyer. And I think that's made a difference in, you know, how well we've done.
Yeah. Right. Brian loves to talk snakes. So you get a female from him and all those records. I guarantee you have any questions, he'll help you out. So.
Anytime. Whether you buy from me or not, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm glad to help anybody in this.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And, you know, whether you are a long-term watcher or if this is your first episode, definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of this episode, which sections were your favorites. And
if there's another morph, like we highlighted chocolate today, let us know if there's another morph. We want to reach out and get people to send in a bunch of pictures and talk about. Let us know if there's one you'd love to see, and we'll set it up.
Definitely. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. And thanks again, Brian, for joining us today. See y'all later.
Thank you.
Outro in 3, 2, 1.